Stephen, a 5-0 victory here in the Youth Cup. I suppose when you come up against fixtures like this, I suppose the key is professionalism, and your team showed that in abundance today.
Well, I think in any kind of cup competition, whether it's first team level or youth level, the key is getting through. We wanted to get through with a little bit of style today. We felt we were better than Stenhousemuir. That's not being disrespectful. It's just, with some players like Craigan, who's played first team, Dom Thomas dropped down, Luke Watts played first team level. So I expect us to win the game. How comfortable it was up to the players on the pitch. They had to go and dictate the game. And it's difficult sometimes, the 3G or 4G, whatever it is, it's a little bit slow and sticky, and it slows the play up a little bit. So, we weren't as slick as what I'd like. However, when you score 5 goals in a competition, then you have to be happy going through.
It was an interesting start to the game because I think they'd set up to try and contain Motherwell 10-15 minutes with a pass with it, and they're probably thinking, it's job done, and that was always going to be the key for you, that first goal.
Well, cup competitions haven't been kind to this club over the past 4 or 5 years at youth level or first team level. So, one, you don't take the opposition lightly, but suppose 2 is not to panic when you don't get that goal. But we had plenty of the ball. We had moved it well. We were getting into decent areas. It was just the final thing we had to do just to get the goal. But once you break the resilience of the opposition, then it's about trying to contain them. Containing the ball, just circulate the ball, move them round about, trying to move them and try and suppose fatigue them or tire them out, and then eventually your chances will come. But with someone like Dom Thomas today, who I'd said to Dom before the game that there shouldn't be a player in the Stenhousemuir team who should be any better than what Dom is, or should be able to stop him playing. So I said, go and affect the game, go and make things happen, go and win us the game and get us through the next round. And he got a hat trick, and he did.
You and I talk regularly on here and elsewhere about challenging players to be ready for the first team level. Are you seeing now develop? I know it's difficult to judge in today's game because of the depth of quality of the opposition, but are you seeing progress from guys who now could be wanting to chap on Mark McGee's door? I don't mean literally, but figuratively, to say I'm good enough to do it.
Well, I have in short spells, and I think that's been the frustrating bit, that sometimes you feel as if you're making huge strides forward, and then maybe a half of football, like Inverness during the week, the first half during the week, you suddenly start scratching your head and thinking, where's it all gone wrong effectively? So, people speak about inconsistencies of young players, but we had a kind of self-analysis day the other day, and I said to them, they have to decide themselves of what they want out of their career. They have to get the consistency level up, and that comes from working harder in training, doing a little bit more after training, taking care of their life away from the park, doing everything they possibly can that can make them be consistent and be more consistent, be fresher for games, be fitter, be stronger. That all comes when that all comes together. Your consistency comes through that. So, there are certainly players who have stepped up, since I came into the club, who, I think will eventually become first team players. How soon it will be determined by them. They have to determine when they want to get themselves into the first team or when they're ready to go. They have to make that conscious decision. I think some of them have. But I always think, potentially some may have to go on loan before they make the step up. We can't have too many younger players coming into our first team effectively and not making mistakes, but kind of learning the trade in the top league when we need results and we need to get ourselves away. So there's certainly come Christmas time, I would look at getting 2 or 3 of them out on loan just to go and play first team football and get themselves 10, 12, 15 games under the belt, whether it's Lowland League, whether it's League 2. But certainly, they've got the attributes to step up. As I say, they have to make a decision of when they're ready to go, and it comes from within. You
mentioned earlier on about Motherwell's poor performances in cup competitions. There's been probably none poorer than the Youth Cup over the last 5 or 6, 7 years. Barely won a game, sadly. We're getting to nosebleed territory at the moment, but in terms of Youth Cup, we've won 2 games now. How far do you want to go in this competition? Do you want to win it?
Well, there's no reason why we shouldn't be aiming for that. That's up to the players on the pitch. But we're quite a young under 20 side. It's a 1996 tournament effectively, and a lot of our guys are 97s, 98s, and some 99s. So we're quite young. But the fact that you're winning games and coming to a place like this when it's there's no atmosphere about the place and the game's a bit slow, just managing the game and getting through in cup competitions, it stands them in good stead. So, of course, listen, irrespective of the draw or when it's made, we feel as if we can push ourselves on. I look at the experienced ones like David Ferguson, who's at Annan, and Dom Thomas, and look what guys with a little bit of experience, and Chris Cadden, they have to set the tone, they have to set the lead when you come into cup competitions. I would expect now it'll be the majority of top flight clubs. Yeah. I think it's down to the last 16. So, we're not far away from where we'd like to be, but, progressing in cup competitions, it just keeps your season alive, I think, really. It just gives you something to play for. There's no overage players allowed to play in it, so it's all about them. It's their kind of Scottish Cup, that's what obviously it is. So it's up to them to go and try and improve and try and impress and try and make a mark. It would be nice to finish the season thinking we've had a right good go at it. But again, it's always up to what they want to put into it.
Do you think cup competitions help the players' development? Because it's almost a different type of game to a development league match where, as you say, first team players, older experienced players come down, but also there's that element of having to win the match to stay in the competition. That's a good learner.
Yeah, listen, it's exactly what's needed. under 20 football don't really play an awful lot of games that mean an awful lot. Of course it means an awful lot because they're playing for their career, but I mean something riding on it. You know, the game could go to extra time, the game could go to penalty kicks. It's a cup competition where you win, you get through and you move on. You know, you come to different grounds, you play different teams. So it is that little bit of pressure, I suppose, or a little bit of, you know, expectation from us to, you know, progress. So, you know, it is difficult to replicate it in league games sometimes, but the cup competition certainly gives them something to aim for, gives them something to target for. You know, they're talking already in the dressing room who they'd like to get, where they'd like to play them. So I think it just gives a little buzz about the place. Whereas if you go to the Youth Cup, it's disappointing. It makes it a long winter for you, whereas now we've something to look forward to.
Stephen, well done.
Cheers, thank you.